Miami Heat have finally made a trade. How about that, Heat fans? Pat Riley strikes a deal here in the offseason, and it couldn't be more of a stunning deal if we are going to be honest here. There has been so much talk around Andrew Wiggins, so much talk around Terry Rozier, but Miami makes a trade with the Clippers and Jazz in a 3-team deal that doesn't include Wiggins or Rozier. And Miami gets an incredible asset and a player that can help them now for basically nothing. I am actually at a loss at how cheap it was to acquire Norman Powell. The full trade details right here. The Heat received the guard Norman Powell, who averaged 21 points a game last season on 45% shooting and 42% shooting from beyond the arc. The Clippers get John Collins from the Jazz, and the Jazz receive Kevin Love, Kyle Anderson, and a second-round pick from the Clippers. Originally, when I read the tweet from Shams, I thought Miami was attaching a second to Kevin Love and Anderson. And even then, I was like, it's a bummer to get rid of a second, but it's a deal you still absolutely make. And then after second review, you are not the team giving up the second-round pick. So you got almost an all-star caliber player. He could have been an all-star last season. That's how good he was for the Clippers. He was phenomenal. One of the most efficient scorers in the NBA last season. You got him for Kevin Love and Kyle Anderson, two players that I wanted off the roster. Like, I give Pat Riley a lot of shit. Y'all know this. Like, I am someone who criticizes Pat Riley in this front office a ton for their lack of moves and lack of vision. This is as good as a move as I possibly could have imagined this front office making with where the situation of the roster is right now. Like, if we're going to be completely honest here, we were 48 hours ago, hell, 24 hours ago, heck, 12 hours ago, we were at max 15 roster spots. Max. With a roster that did not look that good. And a couple of these roster spots will be taken up by players that I do not feel fit this Heat roster and this Heat organization for the next 2 to 3 seasons. The players that I consistently mentioned were Rozier, Kevin Love, Kyle Anderson. I throw Kashad Johnson in there a little bit too, but I'll leave that alone for now. And you were able to get rid of 2 of them, Kevin Love and Kyle Anderson, for a player in Norman Powell that will provide you with a good basketball fit now, but also provides you with the ability to get another future asset at the trade deadline. Like, this is just a terrific move. Miami now frees up a roster spot as well. They're down to 14. Obviously, the maximum is 15. I am just absolutely through the roof on this deal. And we're going to talk about it here on the show. Appreciate the 450 people tuning in here on a early Monday morning. If you are fired up for the deal, can we hit that thumbs up icon, please? We got only 26 likes. Now that I'm done with my little monologue there, let's get some interaction in the chat. Hit that thumbs up icon. We're here early on a Monday morning breaking down Heat moves and Heat basketball. So hit that thumbs up icon. Let's get to 100 likes right now. Hype to have Norman Powell in the 305. Hit that thumbs up icon. I'm certainly fired up about the deal. I mentioned it. He was one of the most efficient scorers in the entire NBA last season. He is an absolute sharpshooter, someone that could have been an all-star last year. Do I think he should have been an all-star? No, I don't. But there were people and talking heads out there trying to pine for Norman Powell to potentially being an all-star reserve for how good he played next to James Harden last season. I mean, he averaged 22 a night on 42% shooting from 3, and I undersold his shooting from the field, 48.4%. He started for Los Angeles last season. I am having a hard time envisioning him starting for Miami. We'll see. We have a long offseason ahead of us because now that the Heat do have an open roster spot, that opens up endless possibilities for Miami, and we'll continue to talk about them as this live show progresses. But having an open roster spot allows you more flexibility to trade Andrew Wiggins. You can now take back one more player in an Andrew Wiggins deal. You can do the same thing in a potential Terry Rozier deal as well. That is why I was so upset by being at the maximum roster capacity just a day ago is because not I wanted to sign Bradley Beal or Dame and miss out on them because I didn't have a roster spot. No, it's actually because it would making trade Wiggins or Rozier so much more difficult. Now that is not the case, and that's the part that really fires me up about this deal. I'm just fired up, man. If you can't tell, I'm excited. Appreciate the 600 people watching. Remember to hit that thumbs up icon. Come on, we're not even at triple digits yet. Come on, hit that like button. Let's get the 100 likes right now. But this is also why you subscribe to the channel too, because listen, it's early on a Monday. When the Heat make a move, we go live. Hit that sub button. If you are not subscribed to the channel already, live content, VODs every single day, short form content as well. It's just an absolute blast to talk Heat basketball. And I'm glad that all y'all are fired up to talk Heat hoops here in early July with me. And I just got so many Twitter notifications when the trade went through, like, wake up, Nick, wake up, go live. I was up. I was walking into the Chat Sports offices when the trade went down. I had to collect my thoughts, get everything prepared, and then we were live within, 40 minutes of the trade, because we have a great crew here at Chat Sports. And not only subscribe for me here, but subscribe for the people in the back that aren't going to get recognized for how they helped us get going and going live here. That's why it's awesome, man. That's why it's awesome. There is a couple things falling out from this deal that I did want to mention when it comes to financial aspect of it. So let me just pull that up one more second here. So we are at the 14 roster spots, but what this trade does is it actually hard caps us at the first apron, which isn't that big of a deal to me because Miami wasn't going to go like that far into the apron space anyway. But this does actually put us in the luxury tax. It does. So this does not do well for the financial aspect of things. And we know Pat Riley talked about wanting to be underneath the luxury tax this season to avoid the repeater's tax penalty. We'll see if they ultimately make a move to get underneath the luxury tax. But where the things stand now, we are $3.9 million below the first apron. So we're above the luxury tax. We're 3.9 below the first apron. And we no longer can use the non-taxpayer mid-level. So the $14 million contract, that is no longer available to us. We do have the $5.1 million biannual exception. So that can be used. But that's kind of where things stand financially. We are at 14 of 15 max roster spots. We can't go into the second apron because we're hard capped at the first. We no longer have the non-taxpayer mid-level, but we do have the $5.1 million biannual. And a lot of people are saying this, and I would have to agree. For the people that we're curious about Bradley Beal, this trade from Miami's end of things probably eliminates any potential interest in Bradley Beal, assuming that he gets waived or bought out. This is a move that you make that I would actually rather have than Norman Powell. Because Norman Powell can play that Duncan Robinson role, but also provide you with more of an on-ball presence and an on-ball scoring mentality as well. Like, here's the thing that is so interesting to me. And I want to double check the contracts for Norman Powell. So let me just double check. But I'm pretty sure it's an expiring $20.1 million. And that will set you up with more freedom going into next season as well, next offseason. $20.4 million. And then he's unrestricted next season. So what this trade does, you are essentially trading, if you think about this, Duncan Robinson, Kevin Love, and Kyle Anderson for Norman Powell and Simone Fontecchio. That is a great deal. When you actually think about it, in terms of this Heat roster construction, you are trading Kyle Anderson, Kevin Love, and Duncan Robinson for Norman Powell and Simone Fontecchio. That is a great trade. And I know they're two separate deals, and maybe the first deal, like, domino affected into Pat Riley trying to make this three-team trade. But you everybody knows that Norman Powell is a better basketball player than Duncan Robinson. And if I'll be quite frank here, if you told me I could trade Kevin Love and Kyle Anderson just straight up for Simone Fontecchio, I would have done that just to free up a roster spot. And Simone is an expiring deal himself at $8.4 million. So you get 2 expiring contracts back in Powell and Fontecchio for players that are going to fit this roster and going to help you be better now. Like, this is awesome stuff here from Miami. And as I'll consistently mention, I get upset at this front office and Pat Riley a lot. There is just no way that, to me, you can justify this being a bad trade for Miami. And if you grade this trade anything other than an A, I got to be honest, I think you are just trying to hate to the absolute maximum, or you are misinformed. Because there is no way you can justify this 3-team deal being bad, especially when Miami did not give up any draft capital. They just traded 2 players that weren't going to play, that weren't fitting on this roster, for a guy that you can ultimately parlay into a first-round pick. Like, I am not kidding. There is a chance that Norman Powell plays extremely well this season for Miami, is a player that is like, all right, playing really well on this Heat team that isn't going anywhere, and we trade him at the deadline for a first-round pick to a contending team. If that ultimately happens, that means you just flipped Kyle Anderson and Kevin Love into a first-round pick. So, like, I mean, I just can't get over this was allowed. This feels like the biggest robbery that I could have ever imagined when it comes to the Miami Heat. I'm stunned. I'm absolutely stunned. I am. All right, grade the trade. I said I couldn't grade anything lower than an A. But I want to know your thoughts. We're going to see what the people have to say in the chat. Grade this Heat trade A, B, C, D, or F. It's also our live pinned comment or question as well. Let me know your thoughts, Heat Nation. Steven saying A, Ty Man A, Tyson A, Apachito A, Dandy Man A. Siobhan says B, trade team still ass. All right, then there's a hater. Point him out. That's a hater. The team could still suck, but grading this individual move, there is just no world you can justify anything other than A in my book. I got to be honest. I see C from Antoine and B from Dante. I would love to hear why you grade it not an A. But most of everybody else is going A. Elegance is saying C would have preferred John Collins. Norman Powell is a better player than John Collins. I'll stand on that. Norman Powell is a better player than John Collins, and Norman Powell fits this Heat roster better. If you were going to take back someone making $20+ million that is a veteran and a good basketball player, which John Collins and Norman Powell are, you want someone that fits your team better. And Norman Powell does, because you had a vacancy in your backcourt as a shooter and scorer off the bench. John Collins would have been a clunky fit. It's like, are you starting him at the 3, assuming you get rid of Wiggins? Is he going to be your backup 4? Are you going to be a small ball 5? No, but now Norman Powell, he can play the 2 guard next to Tyler or be the 6th man off the bench. Like, this just gives Eric Spoelstra so much versatility in the way he can switch up and change lineups. And like I said, Norman Powell is way better than Duncan Robinson. Norman's 32, Duncan's 31, and Norman's going to be able to defend better than Duncan Robinson. He can handle the ball better than Duncan Robinson. Like, is he a little bit smaller in terms of his height? Yeah, Duncan's 6'6", Norman's 6'3", but man, Norman Powell can absolutely shoot the rock. He can shoot the rock. Oh, man, what a deal for Miami. What a deal for Miami, man. I can't believe the Heat made this type of trade without having to give up a draft pick. I'm absolutely stunned. Bobby Marks says it's a home run trade for Miami. There isn't a single person alive, that says this is a bad trade for the Miami Heat. I really don't. Tony V, thanks for the nice comment, my friend. You guys are awesome. Appreciate everyone saying that the content is good stuff. It's the reason we make this stuff is for you guys. I'll be honest. You guys are just absolutely awesome. I couldn't imagine talking about another basketball team professionally in my entire life. And, I'm just happy that, and I'm going to go back in time and thank past Nick here for being aggressive here at the Chat Sports offices and approaching the bosses, asking if we could start a Miami Heat channel. And they said yes, and here we are now, baby. 24,000 subscribers later, 2 years and a month later, we're having the time of our lives. Let's freaking go, baby. Let's freaking go. We did get a super chat. We'll get that on screen. If you want to get your thoughts on screen, ask questions, give your thoughts, have a little bit of party here on a Monday morning, we will do that with some super chats. So what we'll do, order of operations here. We're going to answer this super chat. We are then going to react to the trade, have like a full 9-10 minute video that will go out on our channel for the people that could not join us live today. That will go out, and then they can watch that and review the tapes. And then we will get back to talking with the chat party and having a good time. But let's kick it over to Josiah Milford for the first super chat of the day. That means JB plus Love turned into Casp, Wiggins, Mitch, and Norman Powell. Yeah. I mean, you have to add in a couple second-round picks in there because Miami traded a second-round pick to get P.J. Tucker and then traded a second-round pick with P.J. Tucker for Davion. So they essentially, okay, but this is what we'll do. We'll basically say this. The Heat traded Jimmy Butler, Kevin Love, and 2 second-round picks for Kasparas Jakubonis, Andrew Wiggins, Davion Mitchell, and Norman Powell. Pretty good deal. It's a pretty good deal. Can't be bad. Can't be mad at that, man. Another super chat from SF Nate. Pat Riley woke up. Pat Riley woke up with a vengeance on a Monday. Look at Pat go, man. Making moves. Making moves. And now am I going to get delusional and say, do we even need to trade Andrew Wiggins at this point? I'll be honest. Hero, I saw someone in the chat, shout out to Marnesto. Hero, Powell, Wiggins, Bam, Ware is your starting 5. That's an interesting squad, man. That's an interesting squad. I know we want to see the young guys, but you have those 5 starting, and then you have got Davion Mitchell, Jovic, Jaquez, Larson, Highsmith, Jakubonis off of the bench. That's a squad, man. That's a good squad. That's a squad. Is it a championship-winning squad? No. But it's a team that I think now puts you in a conversation of, all right, Boston without Tatum. The Milwaukee Bucks. That puts you in that category. You go from a roster, in my opinion, that was going to be, without a doubt, in the lottery and probably a 9, 10, 11 seed, to now I think you're going to be fighting for the 6, 7, 8 seed, in that range. Do I think you're in the tier of Cleveland, Detroit, Orlando, Atlanta, New York? No, I don't think you're in that top 5. But that next tier of teams, Indiana without Halliburton, Boston without Tatum, Milwaukee without Dame and everything they did this offseason. You're in that tier of teams, 6, 7, 8. 6, 7, 8, 9. That's where Miami is at right now, man. What's up, Mr. Ninja? I absolutely do. I'm not going to drink the Kool-Aid yet and say that this is a deal that puts Miami in the top 5 of the Eastern Conference. But like I said, it moves them from the Raptors, Bulls type of conversation, Raptors, Bulls, Sixers conversation, to now we're talking about Indiana, Boston, and Milwaukee. That's the type of caliber of team we're living in this upcoming season. If we keep Andrew Wiggins. Because Wiggins, as much as I get on him, he's a good player. He just was not good enough to be a third option on Miami. But now with this current team, Norman Powell is your third option offensively. And he showed the capability of being a third option because he was the third option in Los Angeles last year to Kawhi and Harden, and he hooped. He's your third option to Bam and Hero with Wiggins as your fourth. I don't know if you need to trade Wiggins anymore. I'll be honest. You trade Rozier and get a couple, decent players in return off the bench, or at least just get off of that contract. I don't know. Maybe you don't even move Rozier anymore. And you just let that be an expiring contract. You flip at the deadline. This just gives so much flexibility to the Heat front office for the next year, and I couldn't be happier about it. I really couldn't. All right, like I said, we're going to break down the trade in depth more here right now, and then we'll get to some super chats. Yeah, at that. We're going to quickly show Jay Townsend a legend super chat, and then once we get Jay's super chat on screen, we'll break down the trade more in depth here. But I had to show Jay some love because this guy's an absolute legend to the program. Shout out to Jay Townsend. Shout out to Jay Townsend, man. Legend stuff. Legendary stuff from Jay. People saying Lillard incoming. I doubt it because I don't know if we have the money for that specifically, unless he's taking off a 2-year like $10 million deal, which maybe he does. Maybe he does. Maybe he doesn't. I don't know. It's Noah says, you're my favorite YouTuber. I appreciate it. I appreciate that. Any type of positivity will always be welcomed. Oh, another super chat. Y'all are killing it. Jay Townsend with a 5. I've been wanting Powell on this team for a long time, but I still hope that we can make a couple more moves to get Rozier off the books. Yeah, Jay, I will say I think the Heat will make another move, and I believe it will be a... You know what? Even though I said I speculated maybe you don't trade Rozier, I think they trade him for a backup big. Because right now our front court is Ware, Bam, Jovic, nothing with Kyle Anderson and Love gone. We need a backup center. We need a third center in rotation. We need a fourth guy to complement, like I mentioned, Ware, Bam, and Jovic. So, yeah, I do firmly believe that this is a good move, man. This is a good move. Someone said Pat Riley is warming up waiting for the bomb to drop and did a trade idea of Hero, Wiggins, Jovic for Giannis. That would be pretty good stuff. Could you imagine? Bam, Giannis, Norman Powell. I'm in. We'd probably just do a short. So here's a little report from Brett Siegel. And then, let me read this super chat. Grade A trade is a great move, an expiring all-star caliber contract that relieves cap space. Actually, I'll push back on that without expending draft capital. 2 players moving on free roster spot. Also, Glockness, I agree with everything you just said. The one thing I will disagree with is it does not relieve cap space. Miami's cap actually goes up this season. They went from underneath the luxury tax to now inside the luxury tax, and they're $3.9 million underneath the first apron. So it actually is not a good thing financially for them, but there is still a world out there where they get back underneath the luxury tax if they make a couple moves when it comes to like trading Rozier to a team that has cap space and you take in like $4 million less because you're about $4 or $5 million into the luxury tax. So there is a chance that you get back underneath the luxury tax. But yeah, just right now it's a little tough. All right, here's what the quote I wanted to read, and then we're getting into the show. Before the draft, the Clippers and Jazz were discussing a trade that involved John Collins and Norman Powell. Utah was attempting to find another team to take on the final year of Powell's contract. The sides remained in conversation, and then Miami emerged as a landing spot for Powell in recent days. So you're telling me about 2 weeks ago during the NBA draft, the Clippers and Jazz were about to trade Norman Powell for John Collins, but the Jazz were like, we don't want Norman Powell because we have all these young guards. We need a third team to take him on. And then they called up Miami, which I'm shocked they did that because it's Danny Ainge and he hates Pat Riley. And it was like, we'll send you Norman. We don't want him. Just give us 2 expiring contracts in Love and Anderson. I mean, you want to talk about a deal. Are you kidding me? Wow. That's awesome stuff. All right. Appreciate all the super chats. We'll get back to answering questions and super chats in just a second. But we're going to do a full reaction to the trade. Push that out on the channel for people that can't join us live. And then we'll keep it rolling here on a Monday. We still got over 900 people watching. Y'all are awesome. Appreciate everyone for hanging out with us here on a Monday morning. Whenever you're ready, Lopez, we'll get this party started. All right. Guess we're going to give it one more second. Wait, make sure our other guy behind the scenes is ready to go, and then we'll get it going. We're ready? All right, let's do it then. Pat Riley woke up and made a trade, and boy, is it a good one. Welcome to the Heat Report by Chat Sports. I am your host, Nic Rohloff. You see it at the bottom of your screen. Miami stuns their fan base for sure and gets Norman Powell in a 3-team deal with the Los Angeles Clippers and Utah Jazz. And I've been a little bit bleak on this front office, but it's hard to deny that this was just an exceptional move by Andy Ellisberg, Adam Simon, Pat Riley, and the rest of the crew. They get Norman Powell, the Clippers get John Collins from the Jazz, and Utah receives Kevin Love and Kyle Anderson from the Miami Heat. Well, in a second-round pick from the Clippers. So, yes, you are not mistaken. The Miami Heat landed Norman Powell. Yep, Norman Powell for just Kevin Love and Kyle Anderson. I have been waiting so long for the Heat to make this good of a trade where it's like right off the bat, a no doubt winning of a deal. And boy, did they. Let's go, Pat. And I'll tell you what, folks, this is why you subscribe, because when the Heat make a move, when they make a trade, we will go live on the channel. We're filming this live on the channel, and you might have missed our live reaction to the deal. Well, that's because you got to be subscribed and turn on notifications, so make sure you do for daily content and live shows when we make moves. I mean, Norman Powell is a player that was legitimately considered for an all-star bid last season. He was absolutely phenomenal for the Clippers as their third option behind Kawhi Leonard and Norman Powell. James Harden. And you can maybe make the argument that it was him or Ivica Zubac. Either way, Powell had an incredibly efficient season, averaging 21.8 points per game, shooting 48.4% from the field, and 41.8% from beyond the arc. You lost Duncan Robinson earlier in this free agency period in a sign-and-trade with the Detroit Pistons. There was a glaring hole on this Heat roster with perimeter shooting because, if we're going to be honest, the only capable and three-point shooters you had that struck fear in your opponent was Tyler Hero. But that is an issue if he is your only guy. Well, now Norman Powell is a guy that strikes fear. This is a player that shot, like I mentioned, 41.8% from three last season. And it's not like he shot 3-4 attempts a night. No, he was getting that thing up. He's shooting 7 threes a game. And he shot 42% from beyond the arc. He shot 48% from the field. This was as an efficient scorer as you could actually have imagined. And ready for this statistic as well, folks, coming in from Synergy Basketball, Norman Powell was the 6th most efficient scorer in the NBA last season among 68 players who used over 18 possessions per game. He also shot 45% on movement threes while shooting 40% from three on spot-ups. This is absolutely a player who is on par with Duncan Robinson in terms of their shooting ability. I think Duncan's a top 5, top 10 shooter in the NBA. There's no question about that. But I think Norman Powell is right there in the top 10. I mean, you heard it, 45% last year on movement threes, 40% on spotting up, and you go back to his last 4 seasons where he spent 3.5 years in Los Angeles with the Clippers, half a season in Portland, and he has shot at worst 39.7% from three over the last 4 years. In his worst season, by the way, is averaging 14 points a game. This is a player that consistently shoots over 45% from the field and 40% from three. You are getting incredible efficiency into that backcourt at a massive need. You needed shooting. You did. And you get one of the best available for Kyle Anderson and Kevin freaking Love. I mean, these were 2 players that I legitimately said I don't want on the roster. Like, I would be willing to cut them because they are taking up roster spots from players that could actually benefit this team. You didn't need to cut them because you flipped them for Norman Powell. I am having a hard time really coming to the realization that a team would legitimately send us Norman Powell for Kevin Love and Kyle Anderson straight up. I mean, that you just can't do anything but clap for Pat Riley. I don't know how he did it, but boy, oh boy, the Godfather might be back. And you know what? He might be exonerated in my eyes in terms of slander. I'm not slandering Pat Riley for a year unless they do something really, really dumb. But that's how good of a move this actually was. And if you're hyped for Norman Powell to be in the 305, joining this Heat roster, hit that thumbs up icon. Right now, I want to welcome Norman to the 305. If he happens to see this, I want him to know he's very, very welcome here by Heat fans. Hit that thumbs up icon right now. The question that this does pose next for Miami, and we'll round out the show with a couple conversations here. We'll talk about Norman's fit with this Heat roster and where he will likely slot in, and then we'll also talk about briefly what move could be coming next. Full video on that coming out probably tomorrow. But when it comes to Norman Powell, it's going to be a tough decision. Like, do you start Norman or do you bring him off of the bench? My heart says bring him off the bench. My mind says start your best five. And who knows what Miami ultimately does the rest of this offseason. Do they end up trading Andrew Wiggins to the Lakers now? Or do they just trade Rozier for a backup center? And that's kind of where it goes to what could be next for Miami. But let's just say you keep Andrew Wiggins and you keep Norman Powell. Your starting lineup could consist of Hero, Powell, Wiggins, Bam, and Ware. That is a very versatile and solid lineup. Duncan Robinson was a great shooter, but he was a traffic cone defensively. Norman Powell, am I going to sit here and act like he's the best defender in the world? No, not even close to the case. But is he significantly better than Duncan Robinson? Yes, he is. So I believe that's an upgrade with the defensive side, even if you don't even want to think about him being that much better offensively, which he is. So if you have a starting lineup of those five I mentioned, Hero, Powell, Wiggins, Bam, and Ware, that is a legit starting five. And then your bench unit is sixth man Davion Mitchell, seventh man Nikola Jovic, eighth man Haywood Highsmith, ninth man Pallel Larson, 10th man Jaime Jaquez Jr. Or did I already say Jaime? I don't know. Either way, you have Pallel, Haywood, Jaime, Davion, and Jovic with your first five off the bench. And then you could have Fontecchio there. You have Kashad Johnson there. You still got Rozier, but you got to probably flip him for a backup big because you don't have a true backup center at this point. That roster is competitive in the East. It is. Is it a championship winning roster? Absolutely not. But you are in that next tier of teams. I have consistently said that the top five teams in the East, in my opinion, where we're at in the offseason, is in no order the Cavs, Knicks, Magic, Hawks, and Pistons. Those are my top five. But then you have these next tier of teams. Milwaukee at 6. And I'm not going to rank them. But Milwaukee, Boston, who's injured, Indiana with the Halliburton injury. Those are your 6, 7, 8 teams. I think Miami leaves the crop of teams they were in, which is 9, 10, 11, 12, which consisted of Miami, Toronto, Philadelphia, Chicago. And now the Heat leave that grouping and are now in the grouping of the injured teams, Milwaukee, Indiana, Boston, to where the Heat could put together a good regular season because they're a little bit better offensively, and they're ultimately a 6 seed or barely missing the top 6, and you're the 7 seed. And you're in the first team of playing. It gives you a better team. And if you wanted to compete this season while being able to still play a lot of your young guys like Ware, like Jovic, like Jaquez, like Larson, this was that in-between move that gives you the best of both worlds. It gives you a better roster to compete now. If it does not work out, you can flip Norman Powell at the deadline for a first-round pick, and you ultimately turn Kevin Love and Kyle Anderson to a first-round pick potentially, but you also get a lot of experience and playing time for your young guys off the bench. To me, I just don't know how you could say this is a bad move. Grade the trade for me, A, B, C, D, or F. Let me know your thoughts down in the comments section. I'm going to look to see what the Heat fans have to say. If you cannot tell with how greatly I have speaked about this deal so far, I have clearly given this an A grade. I think that is absolutely worth it because Norman Powell is a terrific basketball player and will add a lot to Miami. Let's round out the show with this. and we could talk about briefly what could be coming next for the Miami Heat. Obviously, Andrew Wiggins and Terry Rozier were the two players prior to this Norman Powell trade that were the most likely to be dealt off of this roster. Does that change? I think it does slightly. I think you would have to get a really good offer for Andrew Wiggins for me to want to trade him at this point. Like I mentioned, I think that starting five is legit. Powell, Hero, Wiggins, Bam, and Ware. That's a legit starting five, man. It's a legit starting five. Does Terry Rozier still have to be traded? Without a question, without a doubt. And you got to get off of that deal for a center. Because right now, your front court is Bam, Ware, Nikola Jovic. And no matter what you want to say about Kevin Love and Anderson, I'm very happy they're off the Heat's roster. Very happy. But they were your two front court depth pieces. And now you don't have any front court depth. Jovic is your only one. But we all know that Jovic is better as like a 3 or 4, like a wing almost, a forward, a wing forward, if you will, and not a true big man. So to me, you still got to add a backup center. We'll look to see who they could get there. But obviously the eyes are going to be on Andrew Wiggins and Terry Rozier, with it being more likely, in my opinion, that Rozier gets dealt because the front court needs more pieces. But maybe Wiggins gets dealt with the Lakers. And like I mentioned, that price tag went up in LA, man. With this trade, I'm no longer shopping Andrew Wiggins. I will listen on Andrew Wiggins, but I am not shopping Andrew Wiggins. So Los Angeles, if you want Wiggins, you got to pony up that 2031 first-round pick in Rui Hachimura. I don't even know if I want Dalton Connect anymore. I'm very high on him. I liked him coming out of the draft, but boy, did he disappoint a little bit last year. And I don't want to overreact to Summer League because I'm not overreacting to Jaquez. But Connect stinking it up in Summer League as a year 2 guy. That's not ideal. It's not ideal. But this is the final part we'll talk about on today's show, and it's the fact that you got to subscribe to the channel because when the Heat make a move, we will have you covered. Subscribe, join us for daily Miami Heat content in live shows when moves happen, when Wiggins gets traded, if Wiggins gets traded, if Rozier gets traded, we'll be going live on the channel. Appreciate everybody for tuning in. Norman Powell, you are a Heatle. All right, wrap that up. Folks, how we feeling, baby? How are we feeling on this fine, beautiful, sunny Monday morning? I don't even know if it's a beautiful morning. It was actually rainy and cloudy here in Dallas, but you could tell me the sun was shining, and it's 85 degrees. It's beautiful, and I would believe you based off of this Norman Powell trade. Pat cooked. Pat Riley cooked. Pat Riley really cooked. Very, very impressed, man. How about this quote from Norman Powell? Ready for this? I've always loved the game growing up. I would always mimic and go to the park. Once Kobe came into the league, he became my new favorite player. Watching him and D. Wade, just watching those clips from YouTube and documentaries about them and mimicking their games. Norman Powell, student of the game, loves Dwayne Wade. Love it. What a good trade for the Miami Heat. Norman Powell tweeting in 2011, I'm going to study Dwayne Wade's game and model my game after his. Norman, you're a legend. And then in 2015, just landed in Miami. The Heat have reportedly been interested in Norman Powell for a couple of years. And they finally get a guy they're interested in. This is such a good move. Pat Riley really cooked today. Wow. Let's go, baby. Let's freaking go. Fires me up. All right, so we're hanging out here as long as y'all want us to stay live. So, Super Chat, use hashtag Heat, and we'll answer some questions. Super Chat guarantees you on the show. Shout out to Jay Townsend. Super Chat will get you on screen here. If you use hashtag Heat in a comment, I can't promise you that you'll get your thoughts on screen, but it will also give you a shot. The only way you guarantee a spot on the show is by Super Chatting. Jay, we definitely need a backup center now that Kyle and Love are gone. They weren't centers, but they were the depth. I still want more 3-and-D players. Yeah, Jay, I mean, I completely agree with you. Shout out to you, you legend. Backup centers are absolutely a need. Maybe the Heat complete the prophecy and go after Bol. He's a free agent. The Heat have an open roster spot and have the ability to give out a vet min or the biannual. I don't know if I'd want to give the biannual, but definitely would be in to give him a vet min. Now, I'll say this when it comes to Miami as well. I believe they will keep that roster spot open with the hopes of that coming in handy for a trade where they have to take in one more player for Wiggins or Rozier. So I'll be honest, I do not think that you should be expecting the Heat to sign a player anytime soon. And free agency, they are going to keep that roster spot open to help them with trades. I don't know that for certain, but if I was in the front office, that's what I would be doing, and that's what I imagine the front office is trying to do. Pigeon Base with a 10. Shout out to my guy Pigeon Base. Absolutely legendary stuff. Pat made a deal with not the devil, but an asshole who sent no picks, referring to Danny Ainge, this is. Hope that impresses other GMs respectively. By the way, didn't Powell and Lillard used to be good buds? Yeah, they used to play together in Portland. They're good friends. Does this mean the Heat are going to sign Damian Lillard? I don't think so. Would I still be open to signing Damian Lillard on a multi-year deal to have him rehab with us this season and then return in 2026? Yeah, I would. So I would still be interested in Lillard. I would. All right, what was your reaction to the Norman Powell trade? One word. One word reaction to the Norman Powell trade. What are your thoughts? One word reaction. One word. I want to see what the people have to say. Woo-hoo-hoo. Flabbergasted. Shocked. Great. Yes, sir-ski. Shout out Lil Uzi. Great song. Yes, sir-ski. Yes, sir-ski. D-Wash saying finally. Steele. J Miami. Why are you feeling Superb. Fleeced. Yeah, I mean, I'll be honest. When I was walking up the stairs to the office this morning when the trade broke, and I was on my phone, and I see the tweet, and I was just like, Heat, Clippers, and Jazz have agreed. And I'm like, oh, boy. I didn't see any players. I just saw Heat, Jazz, Clippers. And with there being a little bit of buzz around Wiggins and the Clippers, a little bit of buzz around Rozier, John Collins, and with Miami, I'm like, oh, did the Heat just trade for John Collins, or did they trade away Andrew Wiggins? And then I open up the tweet, and I was just like, whoa. So I guess that's my one word. Norman Powell coming to Miami, and Wiggins and Rozier weren't in the deal. Like, I expected it to be, when I was reading it, the first name that was mentioned was Norman Powell to Miami. So as I'm continuing to read the tweet, I was like, okay, we clearly probably traded Rozier to the Jazz in this 3-team deal. And like, Rozier goes to Utah, Collins to Clippers, and then Norman Powell to us. And I was like, all right, we traded Rozier for Norman Powell. But then I see Kevin Love and Kyle Anderson, and I was like, what? Pat Riley cooked? I was stunned, man. I was absolutely stunned, and I loved it. I couldn't be more surprised. Couldn't be more surprised. I mean, Norman Powell last season was so good. I'm watching some highlights now. The guy is just an absolute sniper. And here's the thing as well. He is not just the shooter off the catch and off the move. He can put the ball on the deck. Is his best ability the quick trigger three that he has? Oh, absolutely. High release point too. I love it. I'm watching some of these highlights now as I'll talk here. But I mean, this is just a great offensive basketball player who is not the worst defensively either. Is he elite defensively, like I mentioned in the video we filmed? No. But he is extremely... He's an upgrade over Duncan Robinson if you're filling that gap. Just as good as a shooter, if not better, and a better defender. And a better player with the ball in his hands. Which I'll give Duncan credit. Duncan Robinson really improved his playmaking this year. But Norman could put the ball on the deck. He'll put pressure on the rim at times. I can't wait to look at his more advanced numbers to see like how often he got to the rim and what he shot at the restricted area this year. I'll be excited to see that. But man, it's a good player, good trade. Lawnmower with his question. If the Heat are good and Norman is good, would you extend him for a year or two at a good price? I would, but I would hold off on doing it. Like, I know a couple people on Heat Twitter went out there and said, extend Norman Powell immediately. I would not do that. Listen, he's 32 years old, going to be 33 next year. Let's see how he plays this season with Miami in this system before you extend him. And you have his bird rights. And if it ends up doing really well and this is a really good fit between the two this season, then you can just sign him before free agency next year. But I am not extending him before he plays a game. Because he is not like the best like fit in terms of like age, right? Like we've been talking about the youth movement with Miami. As mentioned, Norman Powell's 32. Like he's old. Is he a great player still? Yeah, but he's a little bit old. So I'm not extending him yet. I'll stand by that. Norman Powell last season shot 65% at the restricted area, at the rim, which is 1% lower than league average. Is what it is there. Yeah, shot 65% at the rim. Shot 46%, which is 2% better than league average, in non-paint twos. Shot 42.6% from three above the break, which is 7% better than league average. Shot 42% from the right corner, 37% from the left corner. Did I record a video on the trade, Austin? Yeah, it's going out right now. We got somebody working on that. Norman Powell shot 58.5%, which is exactly league average inside 8 feet of the rim. Norman Powell shot 54% on drives. 70% on finger roll layups. 44.9% on floaters. 60% on layups. 42.6% on step back threes. That's good stuff there. Love it. Love it, love it, love it. Man, good trade, good trade, good trade. Good trade. All right, we've been live for 50 minutes, folks. If you want us to stay live, let's continue to get a lot of things going in the chat. Comments, likes, super chat will continue to keep us live for sure as well. I mean, what a day, man. What a day. What a day. Did not expect for the Heat to make a move today when I woke up, but am I glad they did? Oh, absolutely. Abso-freaking-lutely. David, is Hero likely to be moved? I would not say likely, but I'll say it makes it a little bit more interesting. It does. Because if you really wanted to, you could justify moving Tyler Hero and letting Norman Powell be your offensive guy in the backcourt. I don't know if Norman could handle being a top 2 option like Hero can, but man, I would not expect it to happen, but it increases the likelihood. I'll say that. It increases the likelihood. I want to look at, hold on one second. I want to look at his shot chart in the playoffs. Norman Powell in the series against, yeah, look at this. Wow. In the series against the Nuggets, where the Clippers lost in 7, Norman Powell shot 57% from 2, 35% from 3. A true shooting percentage of 57.8. Interesting. Just continuing to look at some stats here. Average 1.1 steals. In that playoff series, he had games with 12, 13, 20, 22, 12, 24, and 9. That game 6 win that pushed it to a game 7, he had 24 points on 72% true shooting percentage. Let's watch. I'm watching his buckets in that game. Wow, this shot creator website is sick. Yeah, Norman Powell in that game 6 at home to extend it to 7. He was in his Duffy, man. I'm watching his stats right now, or highlights. This is sick, actually. I've got to use this website more. Taking Michael Porter Jr. off the dribble. Taking Jokic off the dribble. Yeah, I mean, sign me up for this. This is sick. I mean, Powell can handle it in the pick and roll, too. He's got that little 8-foot floater. I like that. We know Hero has that floater game to him. Yeah, he utilized that floater a lot in that playoff game where he had 24. A lot of these Nuggets players overcommitted. Norman Powell will just use that leverage into driving and then pulling up from about 8 feet. I like that. Like that a lot. Oh, drive by. Oh, hey, I forgot. Norman Powell's got bunnies. I want to show this. Hold on. I don't know how I'm going to pull this off. Ready? Watch this transition take from Norman Powell. Drive by Jamal. Don't jump! Don't jump! He's an athlete, man. Like I said, he can take it to the rack. He's an athlete. Don't jump with me. Oh, drive by. Blame me. I'll tell you what. If there's one thing for certain, it's that Norman Powell will make Heat games a little bit more entertaining. That's for sure. Corner tray ball. Corner 3. He will make games a little bit more entertaining. That's for sure. This guy's got a strap. He's athletic. He's an efficient scorer. He'll help Tyler out for sure with the offense. No more prison ball, maybe. No more games that are ending in the 90s. Let's get to the 110s, baby. I like that. I'm going to be watching some Norman Powell film today, man. That Heat video went out, by the way. Yep, time. What a move. I love it. I love it. Shout out to Jay Townsend with a $2 super chat. Daniel Tice would be a good backup center. I don't know about that. All right, we'll get to Jaquez Jr here in a second. I want to look at the top free agent centers available. No, not really. Top centers available. Marvin Bagley. Ugh, he stinks. Mo Bamba. Man, I thought he was going to be so good out of Texas. He stinks. Bismack Biyombo. Goodness gracious. Thomas Bryant. No, thank you. Al Horford. He ain't coming here. Kai Jones. I'm set. DeAndre Jordan. Not running an AARP squad. Oh, my God. Honestly, who I would consider out of the free agent big men still available, I would consider, no joke, Precious Achiuwa. I would consider Bobo. I would consider Chris Boucher. Those are the three I would probably consider. I can maybe get excited about Bagley, but he kind of stinks. He kind of stinks. Let me look at Bagley. What did he do last season? Oh, he got hurt, right? He only played 31 games last year. That might have been Wiseman. Bagley might have got hurt. Let me look at Marvin Bagley injury. Search this up. Marvin Bagley. Yeah, he didn't have a significant injury last year. I don't know, man. I just can't. I can't get behind Bagley. He's been in the league for 7 years and he's only 26 years old. How crazy is that? I just can't get behind Bagley. I'm sorry, I can't. Can't do it. Can't do it. I'd rather spin the block on Precious Achiuwa or swing big on Bobo or Boucher. Precious hates Spo. Precious doesn't have a job. Does he want to play in the NBA this year or not? I don't think you could be picky on where you sign if you don't have a job. Lawnmower. This is referring to Kasparas Jaquez. I am not overreacting to Summer League. Not doing it. I said this on Twitter, which is, by the way, why you got to follow me on Twitter at Nic_Rohloff. I am not overreacting to Summer League. Is this a new super chat? Oh, it reset on you? Okay. I am not overreacting to Summer League. Has it been a rough first 2 games? Yes, it was. It is a tough couple of games for Kasparas. Yes, it is. But Trae Young struggled in Summer League. If you remember, Victor Wembanyama was very, very bad in Summer League in the first couple of games he played. So I am not overreacting. It's not even the real Summer League. It's the California Classic. Here's the truth of the matter. Would I prefer him to obviously be playing really well in Summer League? Yes, I would. But I am not going to react to a 19-year-old player in his first action with the organization. I will react accordingly during the regular season. And heck, I don't even know if he stinks this year, if I will give you a definitive thought on his future with Miami after year 1. Why? Is because if you're being drafted at 19 years of age, I think it should be expected that you need a year of progression, development. Like Nikola Jovic, same thing. He was drafted super young. He didn't do anything his first year in Miami. Literally didn't play. And then year 2, he got spot minutes. Year 3 was last season. So it's like, I'm not overreacting. He's 19. I'm not going to form a legit opinion on if he is a bad pick or a good pick, probably until like a year and a half, 2 years from now. If he struggles this year, I'm not going to call him a bust just yet. If he struggles this year and then struggles in Summer League next year, well, then we could have a conversation. But like, I'm not overreacting, man. I'm not doing it. Norman Powell Muse. This can't be real. Is there a legit... Norman Powell Muse has followed me and says, can you give me a shout out to start it off? Well, Norman Powell Muse, if you're watching on YouTube, shout out to you, Norman Powell Muse. He's probably watching because I said follow me on Twitter and then he followed me immediately. I feel like there was already a Norman Powell Muse, wasn't there? I feel like there was a bigger Norman Powell Muse out there because this one has 45 followers. I guess there isn't a real Norman Powell Muse. I'm following Norman Powell on Twitter. I'll give Norman Powell Muse a follow back, though. I guess there wasn't. I thought there was a Norman Powell Muse out there. Well, appreciate it. Appreciate the follow. Wait, this is a tough edit of Norman Powell in a Heat jersey. It's kind of raw. Bookmark that. Yeah, I'll definitely put that in the thumbnail tomorrow. Definitely put that in the thumbnail tomorrow. Man, oh man. I'm stunned. Been live here for over an hour. What a start to the week for the Miami Heat. What a start to the week for the Miami Heat. How long ago did I put this video out? 10 minutes ago? Alright. Highlight cuts always stink. Drives me up a wall. Grade the trade! A, B, C, D, or F? I didn't even have a chance to have my coffee this morning before we went live. I'm still drinking it. Are you a coffee person, Lopez?
Coffee person.
You are?
I am.
I feel like I've never seen you have coffee.
I'll buy it on the weekend. Other than that, making it home. I'm an iced coffee type of guy.
Are you bringing coffee into work, or are you already done with your iced coffee before you get to work?
Usually just do it like before I hop in the shower. Like a little 5-minute coffee break.
Okay. I mean, I wouldn't say I'm addicted to coffee because, okay, so let me phrase it. I have coffee every day. I wouldn't say I'm addicted, though, because if I go a day without having coffee, it's not like I shake because I need caffeine. I'm not like one of those people. I just thoroughly enjoy the taste.
Oh, I like the taste.
Like, that's my thing. Like, I don't do it for the caffeine. There will be times I have coffee for caffeine. Like, if I'm working a late day and I'm feeling a little bit down, I'll have a cup of coffee, hoping to give me a boost. But in the morning, I don't drink the coffee for the caffeine. I drink it because I like it.
I find it doesn't really caffeinate me that much. It's really just for the taste.
I agree. I don't feel different if I have coffee in the morning compared to if I don't.
Yeah, like, I'll drink coffee at night, and I'm feeling great. It's just like a little relax type thing.
Made a nice little cookie dough latte here. Just absolutely phenomenal. You know, simple stuff here where it was a little bit of stevia, brown sugar, so like 0-calorie sweetener sugar there. Very terrific stuff, by the way. Put that in there. Brew a nice little espresso pot over it. shake it up, a little shaken espresso with the ice there, and then you pour a little bit of almond milk and a little bit of the Chobani cookie dough creamer, which is just absolutely phenomenal, by the way. And now you got yourself a nice little ace latte. All right, and that was Talking Coffee with Lopez and Rolly. Shout out to Lopez. You know, Lopez is a gamer. Lopez has been with me. That's back-to-back Monday mornings. We've been hit with breaking news.
I know.
Lopez.
It's been a fun way to start the week, honestly.
Yeah, honestly, it makes the rest of the week so much easier as a and not for you. So sorry for that.
Honestly, it's not that bad.
As someone who creates content on a daily basis, getting a big trade on a Monday morning couldn't be better. It literally sets your week of content up like so nicely. It's absolutely terrific.
Nah, shout out to the bullpen too.
Yeah,
like they were big help. All I had to do was write a copy.
Bullpen was on it. They were locked in, ready to go. Great stuff there from the crew. They were awesome. Do I like Juice WRLD? I love Juice WRLD. I would say he's top 5 artist for me. I'd say my top 5 favorite artists. Let me try to name. I'm not gonna go in order here. J. Cole's definitely in there. I'd probably put Lil Uzi in there. I'm honestly going to put Lil Tecca in there. If you guys know Lil Tecca, I love Lil Tecca.
You're big on him.
I'm the biggest Lil Tecca guy in the office. So I got 3 there. So Lil Uzi, Lil Tecca, and J. Cole are definitely my top 3, I think, right now. Number 4. Oh, man. I don't really know where I go here. Where do I go here at 4?
Who are you considering?
In consideration, Drake, Juice WRLD, Kid Laroi. Out of nowhere, now you're going to see random genres. Zach Bryan would be in consideration.
Okay.
Noah Khan would be in consideration. So, I listen to predominantly rap, but, I do really enjoy Zach Bryan. I really do enjoy Noah Khan as well.
Are those, you're by yourself and you're just going to listen to whatever you want?
What am I thinking here? Number 4 is Tommy Richmond.
Okay.
I love Tommy Richmond. I don't know why he slipped my mind. So, Tommy Richmond's top is my 4. I definitely, I'll go in order here. I'll go in order my favorite artist. As you were to ask me, it would go 1, J. Cole. He would always be my number 1. Lil Tecca, number 2. Lil Uzi Vert, number 3. Tommy Richmond, 4. And then in 5 would be in consideration with every name I just mentioned.
Okay.
I did say Juice was in my top 5. I don't think I'll say he's guaranteed top 5.
I'm about to say he's fighting an uphill battle now, I think.
Top 10, fringe top 5. Depends on the mood. There are times where Juice can get to the top 5. It depends on what time of year it is. In the summertime, it's just going to be more of a Zach Bryan, I'm outside, country music type beat, so he's going to rise the ranks. I don't know. It's tough. Apachito says garbage list. Wow.
Damn, he got you.
You don't fuck with my
one guy. Terrible playlist.
This is my favorite artist. That doesn't mean that's what I only listen to. I love Future. I love Travis Scott, Utopia. It's funny. I wouldn't put Travis Scott in my favorite artist, but Utopia is one of my favorite albums. That album is just absolutely unbelievable. What about Triple X? Gone Too Soon. Speaking of Gone Too Soon, what's the fucking name? God damn it.
Describe him. You got this.
This is the worst. Missed. PNB Rock. My goodness. Took me way too long to get that. I love PNB Rock. Oh, Apachito. This is ridiculous. This is ridiculous. Just flaming me.
Well,
don't push that because we're way ahead of those numbers now.
I don't know what Apachito listens to.
Yeah, Apachito, let me hear your top 5 artists in the chat. I want to hear your top 5. Listen, this is what I always will say too, and this is not to throw digs at anyone on Heat Twitter. It is so much different, I think, when you have to put out your opinions and your thoughts and cover a team, but you can't hide behind a screen.
Oh no.
We're here live on YouTube. We're making videos daily. You see my face, my thoughts. You see my face, my thoughts on Twitter. When half of these people on Twitter are hiding behind a random profile pic. And then I'm not saying Apachito is because he's actually in his profile.
Mm-hmm.
This just sparked my idea because someone went at me on Twitter yesterday for a take I had on Yakachonis and Kalel Ware. And I'm just like, and he was like, I said I don't know ball and I'm a bum. It's like it's easy to say that when you don't have to have your name and face attached to opinions. But anyway,
it's a lose-lose battle because if someone that like nobody hears of drops a bad take, they're just gonna go and delete
right?
it.
Like
no one
knows.
Yeah.
So.
Also, one guy that said your music taste is trash just put Lil Mosey in his top 5. So.
No, I think Dak Gamer was cool with my playlist.
No, he said it was trash. Huh?
Dak Gamer said my stuff was trash?
I think so. Am I tripping?
I don't remember him saying that. Trent Davis did.
Oh, my bad. My bad, Dak Gamer.
Dak Gamer says Juice WRLD 1, Lil Tecca 2, XXX 3, Mosey 4, Kid Laroi 5. So you definitely have a brand of music that you like. That there's no doubt about that. I would consider all of them in there. Apachito says I'm 40 though. So you probably don't even know people I'm talking about. Tyson says Eminem, J. Cole, Kendrick, Imagine Dragons, and NF. Sneaky, I've seen NF in concert. If you know who NF is.
I've heard of him.
Yeah, he's a little bit underwhelmed. I've seen him on concert. He was not the headliner. The headliner was Logic, but NF and you know Kyle?
The I Spy dude?
Yeah.
Yeah.
He was there. So Logic went on a tour. Me and my friend like Logic back in high school. So we went to a concert in Buffalo because I'm from that area. And NF was the earliest headliner. Kyle was the second one. And then it was the main show of Logic. Listen to The Weeknd half the time. I'm not the biggest Weeknd guy.
I'm not the biggest Weeknd guy. He has a couple of songs where I'm like, okay, I like this.
Timeless with Cardi, to me, I think is a really good one.
Mm-hmm.
Save Your Tears is a really good one.
Yeah.
Didn't he have an album with Future or just that one song? Because that one song he had with Future was really good.
Mm-hmm.
I forget what it was called, though. What's my favorite song off Dopamine? Boys Don't Cry. Boys Don't Cry is a banger.
It's a good one. I feel like they're like very summery. Ow, ow. I know that's like It's just that just gives off summery.
Dark Thoughts is a banger. And the reason why I love Lil Tecca so much is the transition from song to song is so good.
Mm-hmm.
Like the transition from Don't Rush into Boys Don't Cry is so good. It's just banger. Yeah, I'm talking about Low Life, Apachito. I'm talking about Low Life.
That's a gas song.
You don't like that song?
I said Gas.
Oh yeah. That was the song I was thinking of with Future and The Weeknd. All right. We've really gotten off the rails here on a Monday morning, talking about music and coffee. We'll keep the live going because we've had the live audience take a pretty large dip here, which is to be expected. We've been live for over an hour. We will stay live if Super Chats come in. If not, we will sign off because we got a full day of making content here when it comes to other Heat videos I have to make to go out for you guys. When it comes to Dolphins stuff, because most of you guys know I cover the Dolphins. Also got to do some main NBA stuff. So let's put up a shot clock for 2 minutes. If any Super Chat comes in during the 2 minutes, we'll reset the timer to 2 minutes. If nothing comes in, we'll sign off and go on with our Monday, which will be very, very good. I mean, I'm having a great Monday. Nothing could really bring me down at this point after that move. I mean, yeah, we're an hour away from lunch. This is electric. This is electric stuff here. Yeah, but appreciate everybody who hung in here with us and enjoyed this live show. It's a lot of fun. Anytime we go live on the channel, it's a good time. Anytime we get to go live on the channel. We don't get to go live often. Well, we go live a lot during the season, obviously, for games, but outside of the season, just hanging out, like we did it for a couple days of free agency, the 2 days of the draft, and then when they make moves like this, trade deadline, the Jimmy Butler trade. Rolly, which Miami rookie impressed you more, Duncan Robinson or Ware? Well, when it comes to their actual rookie season, it would have to be Kalel Ware. And the reason why I say that, Angel, is because if you remember Duncan Robinson got a little bit of playing time for Miami in 2018, 2019 before he flashed onto the scene 2019-20. So 2019-2020, the season that ultimately went to the bubble, the first year of Jimmy Butler, was Duncan's first year as a full-time rotation player, but he played a little bit for Miami the year prior down the stretch. So if you count his rookie season as the first time that he played for Miami in that 2018-2019 season, he didn't really showcase much, so it would have to be Keloware. 45 seconds. If we head out of here, no biggie. If we don't, if we do stay live, fun too. Oh, Norman Powell is a Heedle. What a move, man. Time to get Rob Williams. You know, he just gets injured so much. I would be intrigued. I'd be intrigued with Robert Williams. Did he get traded this offseason? I don't think he did. I think he's still in Portland. Jesus Batista's in the building. What's up, Jesus? Is he still in Portland? He's still in Portland, Leo? Batista, how you doing, my friend? We were actually just close to signing off. Leo says still in Portland, could move Terry. You know, before I like to trade a lot too, Batista. It's an unbelievable move. I think it's unbelievably good. Let me see here. Let me check what's going on in Portland. Drummond for the cheap. We would probably have to trade Haywood Highsmith though, because like Drummond makes $5 million. Batista says, "I'm gonna watch the replay, brother. Be safe." Goodbye, me. It was a fun stream, my friend. So Robert Williams is an expiring $13 million deal. The problem is how do they get to the financial side of it for Miami? Oh, okay. How about this deal? Rozier to the Blazers, Robert Williams, and Matisse Thybulle to the Heat. It works. Saves Miami $1.8 million. You keep expiring contracts in Robert Williams and Thybulle. And then Rozier's off your roster, and you have a big man, backup big man. And that is why this trade, freeing up a full roster spot, is just so incredibly massive. Because now you can make a trade like that where you trade Rozier for 2 players. So big. Yeah, I know people want Walker Kessler. We'd have to send like 2 first-round picks. That ain't going to happen. I'm going to tweet that out, actually. If the Heat keep Andrew Wiggins, what if we traded Rozier to Portland? Heat receive Robert Williams, center, Matisse. I want to make sure I spell this name right. Thybulle. Yeah, it is. Ford, Blazers, receive Terry Rozier. Who says no? I'll say this. I feel like my value of players is a little bit warped. Like, I don't know. Like, there's just been some... This is the last thing I'll say today before we head out. I just am a little bit confused on some player values around the league. Like, the Heat were legitimately able to get Norman Powell for Kyle Anderson and Kevin Love. That doesn't make any sense to me. And even with saying this, even if you take our trade out of it, the Clippers traded Norman Powell and a second-round pick to get John Collins. I would consider Norman Powell better than John Collins. So I don't understand why they would have to attach a second-round pick to that. You also saw the Jazz attach a second-round pick to Colin Sexton for Yusuf Nurkic. Like, there has just been some trades around the league this offseason that really confused me in terms of player value. Like the Jazz having to attach a pick to Colin Sexton. The Clippers having to attach a pick to Norman Powell. Like, there's just been some head scratchers. This is one of them. But it benefits Miami, so I'll take it. So, like, in what I'm trying to get there with that is, like, do the Heat need to attach a pick to Terry Rozier? Like, we've just been so many weird trades to where, like, maybe the Heat don't have to attach a second-round pick to get rid of Rozier. I don't know, man. Very interesting. Clippers? No, they got bounced in the first round by the Nuggets. They were in the 4-5 series. That went 7 games. 7 games. Yeah. All right. That's going to do it for today's stream. We appreciate the 9,000 people that tuned in. Appreciate the $40 in donations. You guys are absolutely awesome, and that is how you start a Monday morning. We'll be here every single day this week with more Heat content, and if the Heat make a move, we will have you covered. I'll leave you with this. Pat Riley made a move. They made a good move. And Norman Powell, you are a Heatle. Peace out, Heat fans. Go Miami Heat.